Good evening, Californios. It's April 19th, 2022, and this is Season 2, Podcast number 12. We are Red Star Report. I'm Hal G. Lohr, and this is Voices for the California Nation. For anyone needing a reminder, this is Podcast 12, and after this podcast, Red Star Report will be taking its regular 2-week hiatus to upgrade our presentation, add new content, and schedule more interviews. So, let me thank you in advance for your patience. After these 2 weeks, we will begin recording our new segments, so you can look forward to new Red Star Report podcast episodes on or about the 10th of May. But for tonight, we doubt this episode of Red Star Report will disappoint. First, we have a special Activism in Action with Shankar Singham as he interviews activist and Green Party candidate for Congress, Julio Cesar. After that, we have talking points with our final thoughts for this last segment of Red Star Report before the break. And all that starts now. We are Red Star Report. This is Voices for the California Nation. Let's go to Shankar.
All right. Thank you, Hal. Thank you, Hal. Welcome to another episode of Activism in Action. And like I said from the last episode, folks, we got activists in action right now. So with me today is another candidate running for office because he's sick of the BS that's being served up by the current dogs in our leadership positions. Okay. Now he's asking you for now this guy is a beast on the bullhorn. I'm not going to kid you around. And he's going to asking for your vote this election cycle. Everybody, I'd like to introduce you first. Here's Julio Cesar running for district, the 42nd district in Long Beach. Julio, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you? Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Really excited to be here and to talk about whatever you want to ask me on. I'm really open, and I really want to make it a point that I'm anti-establishment.
Yes, absolutely. I thought I was something on the bullhorn, but I get shy now when I see Julio on the road because this guy, I'm going to try to get some video to play some video of it later. When we went to go protest Robert Garcia this last weekend, he was just on it, just fire, just cannonballs being launched over to Robert Garcia. And he heard every word. You know, he heard every word, Julio, that you were saying, man. And it got him. You know, it got him.
Right.
But let's talk about this race, man. You're getting into this race. Let's talk about who you're going up against and what the 42nd district is. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You know better than me. This is going to be Lucille Roybal's seat, correct?
Correct, and it's merged with something Lothenthal seat or something like that because he's the congress. She was like part of Long Beach.
I see.
So now they've redistricted everything. So yeah, it is Roybal's new seat, but she's retiring.
So she's retiring. The seat has opened up, and you've got Cristina Garcia, right?
Right.
Who's in the state assembly. Now she's going to go for Congress because that's where all these people have their eyeballs at. They all want to go to Washington, D.C. They don't give a shit about Long Beach. They don't give a shit about California. They don't care about this place at all, as we'll talk about in a bit. And then you also have Robert Garcia, no relation to Cristina Garcia. Robert Garcia, the mayor of Long Beach, correct?
Correct.
So you have a state assemblywoman and a mayor of Long Beach going for Lucille Roybal's seat and they think they're going to battle it out. And then in comes the contender, the underdog, you, my friend, right? Julio
Yes.
Cesar. What is the strategy, my friend? What do you want to, what's your strategy in going into this race? What are you trying to accomplish here?
We're really trying to get people to really know who the Garcias are and really send out a message that the Democratic Party is not working for anybody, and it's not going to work for anybody, and it hasn't been working for anybody since FDR, right? And so I think that part of the commitment of this campaign is to ensure that these elected officials, right, they get into office, but people know how bad they really are. And, I tell people, them exit, right? And so I'm a Green Party member, right? I've been for one for maybe, I think, almost 4 years now. And so that you have these progressive Democrats that think that they're going to change the party from the inside, and it's not going to happen for them. And, and I appreciate that they're there, because if they weren't there, they wouldn't be able to block the endorsement that they did for Robert Garcia. But, Cristina Garcia's taking the credit that her team blocked Robert Garcia's endorsement. But that's not really the case. The progressive Democrats, the activists in the Democratic Party, they don't want the Garcias. They don't want the Garcias. So people in Long Beach think that Cristina Garcia is the progressive, and people in Southeast LA think that Robert Garcia is the progressive, and that's just a lie.
What is Cristina and Robert Garcia's, the Garcias, let's call them the Garcias,
Mm-hmm.
What have they not done? Why are you running? Like, what have they done or not done that infuriates all of us, including you?
I'm going to start off with Cristina Garcia, right? Because I've met her, right? And one of the things that she did, and she did wrong, right, is she wrote a bill to dismantle the central municipal water basin that's off of Telegraph and I think like Washington Boulevard here in Commerce, right? So she wrote a bill, SB 625, that eliminates the central basin. And by doing that, companies can come in and take over the basin's job, private water companies like Coca-Cola. And so that's what she did. And I think she wrote another bill, I think it's AB 1719 or something like that, where they appoint, where cities within the central basin and the private water companies appoint 3 directors to the central basin. And these cities and private water companies are appointing, they're not electing, they're not going through this democratic process, they're appointing. So you have 3 directors on the central basin that are appointed, and then you have 5 directors that are not appointed, but then you have 2 directors, Martha Camacho and Leticia Vasquez, that are actually doing work for the people. And John Askewy, he sat on the central basin like 2 years ago. He assaulted the president at the time, Leticia Vasquez. And this is a woman that's writing that bill, SB 625, and she has not held accountable John Askewy. And John Askewy at the time, John Askewy is still the assistant city manager to Downey, right? And so in Downey, we have Blanca Pacheco that works for Rick Olivares, and Rick Olivares' firm was at the central basin at one point. So now Rick Olivares is planning to sue the central basin. OMLO is going to sue the central basin.
For what?
For money. They come, the basin's attorney, he comes up with these frivolous lawsuits to just take money out of the central basin. They keep, the general manager, Alex Rojas, writes a bunch of contracts to his friends so they can get some money from the basin. And so to keep it short, they're using the basin, so they're exploiting the basin's resources, right? And then they want a bill to diminish it. So the basin's getting attacked on 2 ends. Now they sold the building, and now they don't know where they're going to have meetings.
Red Star actually covered this story some months ago. So Cristina Garcia, Assemblywoman. So what we have is a central water basin, which is this big water, imagine a big reservoir of water that pumps water into LA. Now there is a commission that is in charge of that water being distributed to all our cities. Cristina Garcia has privatized that essentially by appointing the people to that commission that will put private businesses' interests into the commission to distribute the water. So she's essentially privatizing that water. And there's only 2 board members left that are fighting for this. So that's the gist of what's happening, correct?
Correct.
As far as the water. So that's Cristina Garcia. That's her. Anything else on Cristina Garcia before we move over to Robert?
Oh, dude, okay. So basically, so she was a consultant that was working for Exite years ago, right? So now she partnered with the East Yard Greens or something like that. They're not part of the Green Party, but they're called the East Yard something to clean up Exite, right? But Cristina Garcia said that Exite can no longer be held accountable, right? Because I think they filed for bankruptcy. But Exite, the company, the actual company, they're in another state on the East Coast. So while she's saying there's no accountability here, there is accountability because they have another company on the East Coast. So she's protecting the contamination, the Exite interest, and the water interest. If you look at her donations, you can see that she's gotten thousands of dollars from the private water sector. And she's not taking any corporate money. Now they're taking PAC money to disguise the corporate money.
So let's look at this. And Red Star Report and all the Californians that listen to this show have heard what you just said. That story is so familiar. Before it was Nestle with the water. Nestle stole for 30, 40, 50 years Arrowhead water from native indigenous lands for $5 a year. And they made billions off of our water, California's water. And when the governor caught them, they ran back to the East Coast. Here we have Exide. Again, they're producing, who knows what sort of products they're producing, but they're polluting all the chemicals into our neighborhoods, into our environments, affecting children's health, causing cancer amongst early death rates. Part pollution per millions in the air is beyond worst air pollution in the nation. Long Beach. This company runs with its tail between its legs back to the East Coast again, just like Nestle did, just like a score of other companies do, and left Californians hanging. And here Cristina Garcia is their lone defense against that.
He does. And let me tell you something else. So I think, again, Cristina wrote a second bill after SB 625. I think it was a year ago. She wrote a second bill to privatize the Central Basin, to remove the Central Basin, the Water Replenishment District, and the West Basin. And so when our allies wanted to meet with her, she didn't want to meet with certain allies that are like Latinas, right? So there was other people that were brought into this. And so she finally decided to meet with them. And the attorney for the Capitol was present when they actually met with Cristina Garcia. But she doesn't want to meet with us. She keeps writing this legislation to privatize the water. And if you really think about it, it makes sense because water is going to become scarce. And, they want to put it on the stock market. They want to sell it as a commodity because why is the water evaporating? Well, we have a lot of things that are going on. The water's contaminated, right? And the way to measure contamination, they structure different levels of contamination, but legal doesn't always mean safe.
Oh, absolutely. Right. They are trying to privatize water. Vivendi Corp is a major push for global privatization of all the water in the world. Folks, can you only imagine that? I know you can't. Like a crab, like you put a crab in boiling hot water, then you turn the heat up. It doesn't know it's dying. Folks, that's how they're going to take over water. We're just going to let it happen because nobody's paying attention and nobody cares. Right. Because Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock. That's why. Right. So nobody cares about water, right? So there's Cristina Garcia. Let's move over to Robert. This is the mayor of Long Beach. Long Beach is a beautiful city, folks. One of my favorite cities in the world. Unfortunately, there is a dirty history that goes with it. I'll let Julio explain why Robert. What's Robert not done or done that's making you get this seat, want this seat from him?
Right. So Robert Garcia indicates that he's created affordable housing for the people of Long Beach, right? But the only people that can live in Long Beach in this affordable housing are households that make over $100,000 a year. I go to Long Beach here and there, and I see that the homeless population is growing there. Not only there, it's in LA too. And so this individual, says that he's worked on housing, but as Carlos, I think, mentioned, Carlos has the facts. He didn't work on housing. He's gentrifying it, and people obviously have to move out. And so he's not for the people. He voted, I think, in favor of allowing ICE, the city of Long Beach, to share license plate of our undocumented brothers and sisters with Homeland Security and ICE. So this is the type of leadership that we have here in Long Beach. And while he says that he supports Ukrainians, that's great that we have other immigrants coming to this country, but we need to help everybody and our people that are actually citizens here. We need to help everybody. We can't just keep giving aid to our political allies. And we could, but we have to make it a point to uplift our communities here, because our communities are in danger of being homeless. They're stressed out. They don't always have a plate of food to put on the table for their kids. And, there's a lot of contamination. So that's going to get to you mentally and physically. And so Robert Garcia is not doing anything about that.
Absolutely. Robert Garcia. So, dude, these are two power hitters, though, man. What is your strategy, man? What are you trying to get out of this? So if you're going up against these people, what do you want to do? Like, tell us the inside baseball scoop.
Well, the point is for the voters to know who these people really are and what their policies have caused the community, right? The consequences that the community has suffered because of these individuals' bills and policies. So we're going to make sure that these individuals, if they win, right? If they win, that people know what they're about. So next time that there's an election in 2 years, if they win, right? We already know what these fuckers are about. And we're gonna use the facts to basically discredit them, because they're not credible people. We're not using the facts to discredit them. We're going to point out their actions, and the people will know that you can't vote for these two. Yeah, Cristina Garcia, I don't know what to say about her. She's just bad people, dude. She owns like 5 homes. All of the assembly in California, the state legislature, I think like 60% of them are property owners. And why do you think that they don't want to put a rent control? Because they're going to lose money.
So you got to mind you, Cristina Garcia was an activist. She at some point was somewhat of a decent person, but as she got into office, she just turned into this other person. And I don't know what to make of her as well, because the Democratic Party does not like her.
Right.
The Democratic Party is backing Robert Garcia up hand and foot. They're bending over backwards for Robert Garcia right now. He is he is the pick. It's most likely he is going to win. But more specifically, Julio, like, do you have anything planned for like right now? Like, are you going to go to everyone at Robert Garcia's rally and just stand outside? Are you going to go to Cristina Garcia's house and rail against, tell all her neighbors about her? I mean, what's like your strategy this election cycle?
I would think it's important to get elected, right? Our goal is to at least, make it to the top 2, right? But we know that, that's going to take some money and some heavy volunteering and canvassing and, really just promoting that. But yeah, we are going to protest them at their events. We've done it recently. Last 2 weeks, we protested Cristina Garcia. We protested Robert Garcia. And, we're going to use whatever means we have legally to go against them and call them out on their BS, and voters are going to know what they're about. And we have various avenues to do this, and we have almost the same avenues that they have. We're just a little bit short on money, but hey, dude, like we know that what we can do with a little bit of money, these people have a lot of money. They don't even know where to start. So we have very specific target points, and we're going to use them to our advantage and to hopefully take them out.
That's awesome. So Julio, speaking of donations, where can people donate money? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook or anything you want to mention?
Yes, I do have a website. It's Julio Cesar for Congress. Right now, yeah, I guess you can donate there. I'm gonna set up my donation page or whatever and attach it there. I do have a Facebook. It's called Julio Cesar for California. It's called Cesar Flores for California State Senate. That's my Facebook page, but I've already requested to update it to Julio Cesar for Congress. But yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, and I also have a Twitter. It's called @CurrentCesar. So that's me, but I'm running, with my full name, right, Julio Cesar, but I usually go by Cesar. And so that's where you can find me.
If you're looking at someone that's about to vote for Cristina Garcia right now, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, please consider that even though at one point Cristina co-opted the movement that she was anti-corruption, Cristina Garcia has always been part of the corruption. She is disenfranchising 2.2 million voters in 24 cities by writing SB 625. That's taking our right to vote. Why you shouldn't vote for Cristina Garcia? Because in the 10 years that she's been in office, she has done nothing for our communities. How is it that she's elected and she's not cleaning the water? Why is she taking money from the special interest? Why? Because she wants to privatize it. So she doesn't care. She doesn't care about our health because we need it. We can't let these Democrats keep winning and these Republicans. We don't need them.
Absolutely right, because I think a lot of progressives are tired of these the twin Republican party, the twin conservative parties that call themselves Democrat and Republican, because there's no difference between either of them. Like we said, you say Dem exit, Julio. We over here, we say Cal exit. We want the state to, because this state, look at all the problems they're having. Abortion now, you can go to jail. I'm sorry. Introduce a law. If you have abortion, you get the death penalty. That's what's happening over there. Okay. Right. One more thing, Robert Garcia, my friend. What if someone was sitting here, I like Robert Garcia. I'm in the union. I'm gonna vote for Robert Garcia, man. Why don't you want me to vote for Robert Garcia?
Robert Garcia represents the status quo of politicking, and when it comes to his policies, they're just like Obama's policies. They look really good on the outside, but when you look deeper into them, they're bullshit.
A patriot for Long Beach, patriot for California. Yeah, this whole time, and now you're running for office. My hat's off to you. Is there anything else you wanted to add, maybe before we sign off?
Yeah, you know what? People just vote for the person that sends less mailers, and do your research. Right? There's Facebook groups that you can join, right? Depending on what city you live in, and you'll see who is who and which side these individuals are taking, and you'll see. So make an informed decision. And I also want to say this: what's going on here in Long Beach and Southeast LA, here in the country, this is fascism. This is modern day fascism.
Absolutely.
And so we need to kick these fascists out of this country, or we need to take over this country and do what's right for the people, because these people aren't going to hesitate to do what's wrong for us and do what's right for them.
That's right, folks. Vote for Julio Cesar for District 42, the 42nd District, and unleash him on these people. Unleash him in Sacramento. Unleash this guy. He really needs to be let go. He will tear them up. Thank you again, Julio. I'll be seeing you on the streets, I'm sure. Thank you again for coming on board.
Thank you, Shankar. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
Hal, back to you, my friend.
Thank you, Shankar. That was Activism in Action with an interview with activist and Green Party candidate for Congress, Julio Cesar. For more information on Julio Cesar, Red Star Report suggests you go to his website at juliocesarforcongress.com. That's Julio Cesar, the number 4, congress.com. You'll find a link down below. And you can also find Julio Cesar on Facebook and Twitter. All you got to do is go look. For the last time this quarter, and our final segment tonight, it's time for Talking Points. For my final talking point before the break, let's talk about political parties for a few minutes. Here at Red Star Report, we make no excuses for being unashamedly an activist media group for the California independence movement. And as part of that, we have the belief that if California is to have a future, we need to engage people that promote and work toward a better California and support our widely held California values. So, in Red Star Report's short existence, we have brought you a wide variety of California political candidates from a number of different political parties, which we know seems to go against Red Star Report's close working relationship with the California National Party. But the reality is that California, although very diverse, remains mostly a one-party state, controlled by the National Democratic Party. So, most candidates for local office or state office or even federal office choose either to run as Democrats or in some kind of opposition party. Unfortunately, as far as California independence movement is concerned, a lot of these efforts are just going to be wasted. So why does Red Star Report bring you these candidates from parties outside the California National Party, even when many of them have little to no hope of being elected? There are a lot of reasons, but I think the simplest way to put it is to fall back on the old saying that goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. I've heard a lot of people talk about the problems with one-party rule. No checks, no balances, no opposition, and no outlet for opposing views, which simply makes it too easy for apathy, corruption, and even outright laziness to take hold. All of those charges have been leveled at the California State House and the California Democratic Party by some very good activists and some very caring candidates. We know this because we've heard this right here on Red Star Report. How Democrats and Republicans are in the pockets of the lobbyists. But if only I could get elected, I would work to change that. How many times have we heard that? Look, don't get me wrong. The people saying this are good people. We've had many of them here. They have good intentions, and they really want to make a difference. The problem is, it's utter bullshit. Talking point. Sometimes you just got to get the fuck over it. The U.S. government is broken beyond repair. And what broke it are the Democrats and Republicans, and anybody running for political office here in California who thinks they can fix that from inside is lying or delusional. Look, America has had 250 years to fix its political system, and it hasn't got it right yet. And it shows in everything from race relations to gender equality and from the economy to the environment. It's undeniable. If it could be fixed, it would have been fixed, but resistance to change is the very nature of politically institutional parties. So, knowing this, many California activists leave those institutional parties for third parties like the Green, the Libertarian, or the Peace and Freedom Party, even as they conveniently ignore that these are also institutionally American parties. And if they ever had any hope of fixing America, they've been even less successful historically than the Democrats and Republicans, if you're being honest. Which brings us back to the California independence movement question that goes, when are these woke California people going to really wake up to admit what they already know? The United States is systematically broken. It will fight to the death to stay broken. It's heading down a dangerous path to fascism and societal collapse. And Californians are never going to change that, trying to do it as members of American institutions that have already failed us as Californians time and time again. You get that, right? Because the truth is, even if California is not politically all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns, it's still small enough to be answerable to its people. If we can ignore the federal circus and focus on issues closer to home for once. The United States government, on the other hand, is too big, too corrupt, too far away, and too controlled by influences outside of California for any California voice to make any lasting difference. So gotta ask, what's the point of being politically awake to the American dumpster fire, but still blind to California independence as a viable alternative and the California National Party as the real party of California resistance to the American federal narrative? Because which do you think is more likely? Americans coming to their senses and abandoning the march towards U.S. fascism, war, and socioeconomical collapse? Or California being the fifth largest economy in the world, eventually becoming a free and independent nation, probably after that U.S. collapse? Seriously, though, really. Ask yourself those questions. Because for the sake of all Californians, I'm hoping you don't just decide California independence is too hard for you to accept as you go back to sleep in the familiar nightmare of your American dream. This is Talking Points. That's Red Star Report for the week of 4/19/22. Please check out our website at www.redstarreport.com. And while you're there, subscribe to and receive our new newsletter, Red Star Review, which will begin publication shortly. Or you can click on the Red Star Review link below. Also, subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel, because we need you. Hello? Go to our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Give us what you can. Because if you want a real California Independence Movement media group, it's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you and all our Red Star Rebels for watching, and we will see you in a few weeks. We are Red Star Report.